All right, let's talk about AI. For what feels like forever, the conversation around AI and our jobs has been dominated by one single, kind of scary question. But today, we're going to flip that script. Instead of asking what AI will do to us, we're going to dig into what we actually want it to do for us. Let's get into it.
Yeah, this is the big one, right? The question that's all over the headlines, the one that's probably kept a few of us up at night. It's the default setting for any conversation about the future of work. But here's the thing. While it's a huge question, it might just be the wrong one.
And this is where things get really interesting. This is the question that researchers are starting to ask. Instead of just trying to predict some sci-fi future, they're working to map out a desired one. So it's not just about what's technically possible, it's about what's humanly preferable.
So how do they do that? Well, they came up with this really brilliant framework. It categorizes all the things we do at work into 4 zones. But it's not just about whether an AI can do the task. It's about whether we even want it to. And trust me, this simple idea changes the entire conversation.
Okay, first up, we've got the green zone. This is basically all the boring stuff. Think about all that administrative drudgery, the scheduling, the payroll, the endless reports. You know, the parts of the job that nobody really loves. This is the stuff we're all too happy to hand over to an AI.
Then you have the red zone. Now in this zone, an AI might be perfectly capable of doing these tasks, but we as a society are basically saying no thanks. These are the jobs that need empathy, ethics, a real human connection. I mean, just because an AI could give a therapy session doesn't mean we want it to. These are things that are just morally off limits for a machine.
And this is a great way to see that core tension side by side. We're eager to delegate the admin and the data entry, but we want to keep the stuff that requires empathy and genuine connection totally human. It's not about what the tech can do, it's about what we value. We're basically saying, yes, please automate my spreadsheets, but heck no, stay away from my soul-to-soul conversations.
All right, next up, the yellow zone. You can think of this as the hurry up and get better category. For these kinds of tasks, people would actually love some help from AI, but the technology just isn't quite there yet. You know, it's not reliable enough. This is a huge opportunity for developers to build tools that people are actively waiting for.
And that brings us to our last zone, the dual friction zone. And it's called that for a reason. We say no thanks here for 2 reasons. 1, the AI just isn't good enough for these super high-stakes, nuanced decisions. And 2, even if it were, we humans are like, no way are we automating that. Think about an AI making hiring or firing decisions. It's a non-starter, both technically and ethically.
Okay, so all of this leads to what might be the single most important takeaway in this whole debate. We have got to stop talking about AI taking entire jobs. We need to start talking about it taking on specific tasks. This is the aha moment.
I mean, think about your own job for a second. It's not just one thing, is it? It's a bundle of all sorts of different activities. Some of it is that green zone admin stuff we talked about, and other parts of it require you, your unique creativity, your judgment, your humanity.
Let's take a therapist. This is a perfect example. We're not looking to automate the therapist, but we can absolutely automate some of their tasks. Things like scheduling appointments, transcribing notes, filing insurance claims. And what does that do? It frees up the therapist to do the one thing the AI can't do, provide actual empathy and guidance, the human part.
And look, this isn't just some academic theory. It is really happening out there in the real world. Check this out. A fascinating study of blue-collar professionals found that a whopping 40% are already using AI pretty actively. But here's the kicker. Look at that second bar. Almost 3/4 of them say it's had 0 effect on their hiring.
So, what's the AI actually doing for them? It's giving them back time. We're talking 3.2 hours a week. Now, that might not sound huge, but do the math. That adds up to over 160 hours a year. That is like getting a whole extra month of work days back to focus on your actual craft, not just the paperwork.
And get this, it's not just the younger folks jumping on board. I love this quote from the president of a plumbing company. He says, "Our older guys have learned to ask ChatGPT the right questions, and they're amazed by the answers." It's all about augmenting skills, not just replacing people.
So all of this, it's leading us into what people are now calling the co-pilot era. The winning philosophy isn't full automation. It's augmentation. It's designing AI as a helpful partner, a co-pilot sitting right there next to you, helping you do your job better.
This is really the sweet spot, right? The AI can whip up some initial graphic layouts, but the designer makes the final call.
It can suggest edits for a film, but the editor has the creative vision. The human is still in the driver's seat, making all the critical and strategic decisions. That's the co-pilot model.
Now, while you have plumbers and therapists using this stuff in the real world, the conversation at the policy level can be, well, a little wild. A recent Senate report came out warning that AI could displace 100 million jobs. But you have to see where they got that number from.
Yup. To figure out how many jobs a large language model might replace, they asked a large language model. You can't make this stuff up. The irony is just perfect. Even the report itself kind of admits the methodology is sketchy, which just goes to show you how much confusion is still out there.
Okay, so let's bring this home. What can you actually do with all this information, especially if you're leading a team? Well, the research boils it down to a really clear 5-step action plan.
Number 1, and this is huge, audit the tasks your team does, not their job titles. 2, figure out your co-pilot strategy. Where can AI assist? 3, and you cannot skip this one, talk to your team. Ask them what annoying tasks they'd love to get off their plate. 4, invest in tools that augment your people, not obliterate their roles. And finally, number 5, and this is the new critical skill, train people to ask better questions. Let's just land on this thought for a second, because it really gets to the absolute heart of all this. The fear isn't really about some super intelligent machine. It's about being replaced in a job that was already chipping away at our humanity with mind-numbing tasks. It totally reframes the entire fear, doesn't it?
So I'll just leave you with this final question. What if we've been looking at this whole thing backwards? What if the real promise of AI isn't to replace us, but to free us? To free us from the mundane so we can focus on the meaningful. Now that is a future worth building. Thanks for joining me.